Hi, my name is Chetan Walia. Welcome to this webinar, Unpopular Opinion. A thought got triggered in me a couple of days ago, which prompted me to come up with this. And that thought was basically on a lot of stuff, and I'll share the background to it shortly. But this webinar is aptly titled Unpopular Opinions and Uncommon Sense. And I must tell you something unpopular right now that's about to happen. I feel very passionate about what I'm going to be speaking to you today about. So I must tell you, in my passion, it might happen today that I might end up using some language, particularly the F word. So if you have kids watching with you, now is the time to put them away because I don't have a clue as to which way this particular thing will go today. But the format is this. I'm going to be presenting to you for a little bit of time about some incidents and stories which have connected with me, trying to create a bit of shake-up in your mind as to how you are thinking about life. And in that process, then we'll open it out. And my intent is to spend more time today on Q&A and having you interact with us rather than me taking you just through a presentation and talking my mind out for the next 1.5 hours. I will, of course, talk my mind out. This topic's dear to me. And I will do that, and I will delve right into it. But I want to tell you to keep thinking of it in terms of questions that are occurring in your mind as a result of whatever it is that I may be speaking about. Keep a note of those questions, start putting it in the chat box. It's right there at the bottom of your GoToWebinar screen. You can post your questions, you can post your chats anytime. I'll be seeing all of them, and we will shortly be taking them as well. So I'll dive right into this. I got a call a couple of days ago from someone in the university who was researching the correlation between life in 20s and life in 40s. And of course, I'm on the other side of it. And they started asking me as to what I did in my 20s, and the whole thing triggered in me as to what was I doing in 20s and how did it shape me as a person. And I started thinking about it. So I was sharing it with this researcher, and I want to share it with you. What I did in my 20s, essentially, if you met me in my 20s, it was a very different person. None of my friends, none of my peer group, none of my family ever thought I will make something out of me because I kept trying new stuff in my 20s. I wanted to know what business feels like, so I went and started a chemical factory, which I shut down in 2 years because I didn't like it. I wanted to see how it would feel to own a restaurant and run one, so I ran one for 3 months and I shut it down. I wanted to see how it is to invest in the stock market, so I joined a broker who ran a national stock exchange thing in Delhi, and I ran from there in about 6 months because I didn't like it. Of course, I got into this kind of work as well in my 20s, and this is something that persevered. I wanted to do photography. So I took a year off from all work, and I devoted it to learning wildlife photography, living in the jungles for a year. And hell, I didn't want to be a photographer. I just wanted to do photography, so I left that. In between, I got admissions into all sorts of things of doing MBAs in US and Wharton Business School and whatnot. I never went for it because I didn't have the money. So I experimented with a whole lot of stuff. I did it on my own money. I ran a BPO once in Delhi, and I shut that down in 6 months. Shut that down means I sold it off in 6 months because I didn't like it. I did all of this stuff, and constantly people around me, my friends and family, never thought I would settle down. They never thought I would make something out of it. In fact, if you spoke to them when I was 25 or 26 years old, they would have told you how big a failure I was. And I particularly think a result of doing all of this in my 20s added so much value to me because I discovered in the process something which very few people in life would actually go on to discover even by the time they're 99. And you know what that is? I discovered being happy. It didn't matter to me what the fuck anyone is thinking about, whether I'm a winner or whether I'm a loser. It didn't matter to me what you thought about me. It doesn't matter to me what you think about me right now, because I discovered in this process of doing so many things something that none of you will ever discover. And I do hope that I can take you there. And that discovery was being happy. And that happiness didn't come from success. That happiness didn't come from money. That happiness didn't come from filling up my bank account or getting some fancy designations. The happiness came from doing what I wanted to do. Hell, I wanted to run a restaurant, so I go there and I ran one. I wanted to do public speaking, so I get out in front of people and I do it. And in the process of this elimination, I discovered that that happiness comes from playing the game, right? Happiness doesn't come from the trophy that you will get. Sure enough, it's great when you get one, but happiness essentially comes from playing the game. And people who are not happy, right? People who don't find happiness, people who are running these mad lives of day in and day out and working and stressing themselves up, and 9 to 9 they work, or 9 to 12 p.m. they work. I don't know what it is that your lifestyle is around. You know what people do? They spend their life. Yeah, each one of us out here have about 40 years of career time before we retire. And we take those 40 years, we get into job and it becomes monotonous, and you will do every time the same thing that you probably doing right now. But is it making you happy? And if it is not, you know what it is that you do to find happiness? We have learned in this society today to buy a shitload of stuff, right? Buy a shitload of stuff that you don't need. It could be a phone, it could be a laptop, it could be a fancy gadget, it could be an air conditioner hanging on your wall, it could be a new fancy television. We have learned and especially taught the next generation as well to buy a shitload of stuff to conceal unhappiness. That's exactly what you're doing. You're not buying it because it's making you happy. You are buying it because you're unhappy. You're concealing unhappiness, and you buy shitloads of stuff so that you can show to the other people that you are successful. Oh, you got this model and you got this car standing outside and you got a chauffeur-driven thing and you'll be seen outside in a fancy market. You want to show other people that you are successful because in our heads, this fucking success is related to happiness, but it's not true. All that losing in my 20s made me not fear losing. And you know what 20-year-olds do today? Every bloody 20-year-old today has learned that he wants or she wants to build a business which they want to build to sell by the time they're 26 so that they will become trillionaires and sit on the shitloads of money which they can then invest as angel investors into other companies. I have one piece of advice for you, sirs. Even though, or even if, in the very unlikely event that you will make that $1 billion by the time that you're 26, there are a handful of stories around the world and they just got fucking lucky. Even if you happen to make that shitload of money by the time you're 26, you'll have the money. Right? You'll have the money and you'll have this big persona to tell the world, hey, I told you so. Look at me. That was my startup. You'll have the money. But you won't have the happiness because you're not playing the game. Hell, you're not even in the game anymore. Starting a business to sell or thinking about money and getting money into the bank account, or even people who are running businesses right now are all worried about where the growth is going to come from and numbers and money and money and money, and let's have a big bulky balance sheet. I want to ask you a question today. Are you here playing the game for the trophy, or are you playing the game because you love it? And that is the differentiator between success and happiness. I think we totally suck as a society today. You know what we've done in the society? We have upplayed the value of money and hard things so much that we've equated success with money. And I think the time has come to downplay that bloody money and to upplay happiness. That success has to be equated with happiness because it's about happiness at the end of the day. Everyone you ask them, I coach people, I coach leaders. I have never yet to meet a person. Whenever I ask them, hey, what's your objective behind interacting with me? I've never not heard anyone say, I want to be happy. But hey, you are successful. Why aren't you happy? And the question, well, I don't know. Of course you don't know. Because throughout your childhood and throughout your adulthood, the focus wasn't things. The focus wasn't money. The focus was that success is equal to money. You've got the money, you've got the success, you've got the designation, you've got the career. Or even if you're too young for all of that, you will get it. But you don't find happiness in any of it, do you? You need to start playing for happiness. You gotta love the game. You gotta love your game more than loving what the game will give you as an end result. And when you love the game is when you're in the zone, and when you're in the zone is when you're happy. Think about it like this. When you were a kid, right, and you used to go out into the park and you were happily playing or busy playing any game that you would with your friends, what did you enjoy? You enjoyed the moment that you were playing. Hell, if you could bat out in the sun for 24 hours, you would happily do it because you were so into the playing. And come to life today, what you will still enjoy is what you love to play, not the end result of it. Results will come and go. Economies will rise and fall. What is left with you is the game that you are playing. If you're not enjoying the game that you are playing, right, the idea is not to focus on the end result. The idea is to find the game that you're playing, find the fucking game that you enjoy, and go play it. You got one life. We have people here in our webinars. We get people right from 18 years old to about 90 years old. And I'm not kidding. That's the range of people that we get. And you know, there's one thing common between that 18-year-old and that 90-year-old. Each of that person is figuring out, even right now, how to be happy in life. And the answer is not in trying to figure it out. Go bloody play the game that you enjoy, because when you're playing the game, you're in the zone and you're happy. All that losing in my 20s taught me that Just focus on the game or play the game that you like. And this is what I do. This is the game that I like. I like to talk to people. I like to change people's lives. I like to talk to them about them. Sometimes I get paid for it. Sometimes I don't get paid for it. Sometimes I'm unable to do it because Corona has locked us down. But hell, I'm still playing the game and I'm loving it and I'm enjoying it. And that's what I would want you to do. And I hear from kids, 20, 30-year-old people telling me, oh, it's too late. I fucked up. What the hell is too late? Even if you're 20 or you're 30, you got 3 or more of those lives ahead of you. What is it too late? And if it's too late, what do? If you're late for a flight, for example, right? If you're late for a flight, you got to catch a plane at 9 o'clock and 7:30, you realize it's your final chance to make it. What do? Do you shut everything off and sleep? Oh, it's too late. No, you bloody well get in your car and drive as fast as you can to make up for the lost time so that you don't miss the flight. If you've realized you're too late, bloody well put on the pedal, accelerate, and go live the life you want because you got 3 more of these ahead of you. Do you realize what I'm saying out here today? We fail to contextualize opportunity and we fail to contextualize time. I'll tell you what I mean by this. There is a 40-year career, right? You probably get a 5 or a 7-year bump somewhere in that 40 years where you'll get an opportunity to make your money. The rest of the 37 or 35 or 30 years, you'll just be working mindlessly. Might as well play the game that you love because the opportunity to make your money will still be just that much. And when you do, you do. The other time, why sit and sulk about not enjoying the game? I would like you to go play the game so that you can bloody well go and win the money. And then we fail to contextualize time itself, right? You are 20 or 25 or 30. You've got 3 more of those lives ahead of you, but we want everything by the time we're 26. I want everything by next Christmas. I want everything by the time Diwali comes. It doesn't work like that. What works is if you do what you love every single day, you will get what you want every single day, which will be shitloads of happiness. Fuck the money. It might come, it may not come, but happiness is a choice that you have. And I don't know, this mindset of chasing money and chasing things, an equation of success with this shit truckload of money and judging of the society, I don't know how many 18 to 29-year-olds it really has enslaved. Because this line of thinking has ruined them. That fear of losing, that fear of taking a risk, that fear of being called a failure by other people have ruined their best years of experimentation. If I look back, from 20 to 30 in my life, those years of experimentation made the person that I am. I took shitloads of risk because I could. There was nothing to lose. And people these days are so scared to lose. They're unable to contextualize opportunity into a time. They're unable to contextualize time. And all you'll be left with at the end of the day, sir, on whatever it is that you don't have in your life, right? If you don't have the relationship you want, if you don't have the success that you want, if you don't have the career that you want, or you don't have the happiness that you want, you will have a truckload of excuses as to why you don't have it, but you won't have that thing. And you know what the difference is? You don't get what you want by knowing it. I'm talking to you about it. You're just not going to get it. You don't get about what you want by reading something, right? There's shitloads of stuff to read on Amazon. Go read it, but you don't get what you want. Let me take an analogy. Let's say you want to lose weight. You don't lose weight by reading about losing weight. You don't lose weight by reading about push-ups. You get it by doing it. And we have truckloads of excuses as to why not to do it. And you know why we have that? Because our fucking framework is full of our own selves. It's this very selfish framework. You're constantly thinking about what is it that you want? What is it that you will get in return? Where is your promotion? Where is your salary? Where's your money? Where's my house? Where's my EMI? Where's my next car? Your framework is fucking selfish. And as long as the framework is selfish, it's dependent on you getting something for you to be happy. Do you get that? If your framework is selfless, then you'll get happiness in giving things. So I am happy doing this webinar right now by just giving this out. You're not paying me for it. But that's a selfless framework. Within that selfless framework, yes, there is a selfish reason. I enjoy doing this. So I'm doing it for me. What is your framework? Is your framework about getting, or is your framework about giving? And as long as your framework is about getting, you're going to lead a very hard life. When the framework is selfish, life is hard. When the framework is selflessness, you give. And life is very easy because you're not expecting anything. What's yours will come your way anyways. Chasing cash over loving the process is equal to fucking unhappiness. And get that into your heads, because If you're living a life where you're constantly chasing money and things about what other people will value that you have, you're chasing a life which is essentially a trophy in the end, without thinking, without knowing the game that you're playing. And the fun is in the game. The fun is not in the trophy. You have fun over 4 hours out there in the field when you were playing. The result didn't matter while you were playing. Of course, the result, if it's a good one, it's good. But that if it's not in your favor, did you stop playing the next day? No, you played every single day as a kid and you had fun because you were playing the game. And get back to that. Get to the game that you know. Get to the game that you love and play that fucking game, because that's where your happiness really is. We, as a society today, have started living our lives based on what other people will value and think. Why the hell should you be worried about what other people will think? This entire generation today, including us, by the way, you will get onto Facebook and post pictures, or you will get onto Twitter and post a comment or reply to one, or on LinkedIn, or whatever it is that you do. But the generation is so bothered about what should I post or what should I not post? Hey, what will she think and what will my friends think? Why the hell should you be bothered? Just go ahead out there, play the game that you love, speak the mind that you have, live the heart that you have, and that is happiness. Happiness is not in the end result. You guys, we get too high on compliments or we get too low on insults. You know, we are doing this webinar today, and I've done plenty of them. I'm speaking in front of people almost every single day in my workshops and coaching people and whatnot. Sometimes, and most of the times, people have good things to say about us, right? That some of you will reply to this webinar when we send you a follow-up mail that you had a good time, and some of you will send hate mail back. We either get too high on compliments or we get too low on insults. You know, I read all your mails. I read the comments which are good. I also read the comments which are not so good. It doesn't bother me either way. Constantly I'm asked by people who are praising me, why isn't there a reaction? Why are you uncomfortable about praise? And then there are people who are insulting, mostly within the company, and they will constantly be asking, why aren't you bothered about the insult? I'm not. It doesn't affect me. What affects me, what matters to me is playing this game. That's what makes me happy. I don't give a fuck about the compliments or about the insult. It goes through me. It doesn't register half the times. 90% of the time, I don't register the nice things that people saying about me because it just doesn't stay with me. It just goes through. I'm not in it for that. And that is freedom. And this is what I want to really get to the nook and corner of. That freedom is to be able to know what you love, is to be able to do what you love every single day of your life. And that is total freedom. Freedom is not being bound to do something for money, bound to do something for respect, bound to do something for the sake of a career, bound to do something to make other people in your life happy, bound to do something that restrains you from doing the one thing that you would really love to do. That is not freedom. Freedom is being able to do whatever it is that you want to do every fucking single day of your life. And that is freedom. It's not about the money. It's about the smile. When you are finishing an 8-hour day or a 12-hour day, when I have a long day, it takes me 5 seconds to sleep, but I feel free. And I feel free because I did what I love and I spent my day doing what I love. I don't feel free when I have to do something which is to make calls to clients or to go out there and do business development work. I don't feel free in that moment because I'm doing it for the money. Whenever you're doing something for money, whenever this is the end result that creeps into your life, I know it's a celebrated quality by all management speakers. Yeah, focus on the end result. Don't take your eye off the ball. Oh, fuck them. Focus on what makes you happy. Focus on what makes your life happy. Focus on what makes your heart happy. And that is what you're living for, aren't you? Because if we live in this manner where we're constantly chasing things, you know what is likely to happen? Our children will see us living in this manner. And we have already, by the way, done this. And we will educate an entire generation, including your and mine children, to have the value which is called money. Focus on success. Focus on things. Focus on money. And in your old age, you know what will happen? Your kids will not put a smile on your face. They will put $100 bill in your bank account and you will wonder what you taught them. And that's tragic. It's not about the money. It's about the smile. It's about doing what you love. And you know it. When you do what you love, when you're in that zone, you are full of energy. People ask me, I'm an introverted person, by the way, right? You put me in front of 20 people or in a room full of 20 people, I have absolutely nothing to say to them, right? And when I'm in these webinars, I'm constantly asked a question, where do you get all this energy from? I'll tell you where I get the energy from. Heck, I'm doing what I love. I can't have a conversation with 20 people, but I'm speaking to 500 of you and it makes me happy and you can see that. And that is what freedom really is. When you do what you love, when you find what you love, regardless of what you get in return or not, you're in the zone, you are happy, you will always be happy because you'll always be full of energy. Whether or not people are appreciating this, whether people are insulting this, I did what I love to do. I spoke from what I wanted to. I emptied my mind onto you, and it makes me happy. And there is nothing else to be done here. And that's what really freedom is. Freedom is the freedom not only of doing whatever it is that you want, doing it responsibly so that it has an impact on other people. And that bloody framework is selflessness, because this framework takes you to giving. The freedom framework it makes your life about giving and not about getting. And while you are giving, it's your choice then to play this game endlessly, because you don't want to fuck from the other side. You only want to give, and no one can stop you from giving. And that's total freedom. People talk about change, that it's too late. How will I make this shift? They talk about coronavirus, that it's changed the world and the world will be changed for good. Oh hell, what will we do, Chetan? How will our businesses shape up? People overreact all the time. People overreacted when the country was locked down, that everything will collapse. Now the second overreaction is that the world's changed for good. I'll tell you what's going to happen. 6 months' time, coronavirus is going to be over and people are going to forget that it ever occurred. Like we forget any news on media that happens today will not be there in 6 months later. You are used to change, my friend. Picture a situation 10 years ago. There was no Uber, there was no Netflix, there was no Indigo, there was no Airbnb. Nothing of these companies ever existed. And it's only been 10 years, and your life is around the companies today, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or Netflix or Amazon or Uber or this thing. Your life revolves around things that wasn't even present 10 years ago. Look how quickly you adapted to that change. I'll give you a story. I was in Leeds some time ago, and a friend of mine landed in Manchester. And when he landed in Manchester, it's a 2-hour drive from there. And he called me on the phone. Hey, Chetan, Uber's on strike today. What the hell do? I can't even travel. You know what I told him? I told him, you will do exactly what people did 20 years ago. Take the bloody train and come here. That's how much life can revolve around changes that have already occurred. You already have the adaptation to change because you've done it. And this is not the change that you should focus on. I'll tell you the change to be focused on. What doesn't change for most people, whether you're 18 or you are 90, what doesn't change for most people is their mindset. And as long as the mindset is in that frame of being selfish rather than being selfless and free, as long as you're in that mindset, nothing will change. The moment your mindset changes, sir, everything on the outside will change. Because your lens changes, your eyes change, your outlook changes, and the moment the mindset changes, the world will change and you will see it. Because it's already available, whatever it is that you're wanting. It's only the lenses that we have that are not aligned to see it. The moment the mindset changes, outside world will change absolutely along with it. It's the sad reality of us is that we like to talk about what we don't have. We like to talk about our weaknesses. We like to operate from what is it that I need to change in me. Don't operate with your weaknesses. Forget every theory that told you or every feedback that you got that you're going to change yourself, because that's not the right thing to do. Operate with your strengths, sir. Whatever you have as your strength is what is going to propel you. Focus 3 times in there. If I can't talk in front of 20 people or I'm introverted, that's not a weakness to be worried about. I want to focus on my strength, which is to be able to talk to 500 people and make some sort of an impact, and I will play with that strength. No one you can ever convince me that learn how to talk to 20 people when you're in a group. No, to hell with you. I will focus on my strength because it's my strengths and playing to my strengths that give me happiness. I can overcome any weakness on earth. It's not going to make me happy, but when I get the opportunity to use my strengths, I'm happy. And same is what I desire for you. When you play with your strengths, you play your game, you play on your terms, and you play to give. Getting is an outcome that will happen by default automatically. Trust me on that. You play to your strength, you play your game. You don't play to win or lose, you play to give. And when you are playing in that manner, it's absolute freedom, and that's a happy place to be. The happy place is not that I will be happy when I get $1 trillion. Fuck that. I'm ready for questions.
Good afternoon and welcome all. Chetan, a lovely session. It's actually so intriguing, and I'm sure all of us out there in the audience also would identify, because somewhere or the other, everyone's life gets touched by these things. But even before we move to the audience and even we kind of go to questions and interactions, there is something that I want you to build upon. You spoke about happiness and success and freedom. What is that journey that connects them all? How is this, even a part of that one single journey in a lifespan? So how about that?
So I think it needs to start with understanding what we currently associate with success. And what we currently associate with success is some sort of an end result or achievement or money or things or building homes or building cars, different for different people. That's what they associate with success. And we associate that with success so that we can show to other people that we are successful, right? So you can buy a certain thing, you get happy about it, yeah, you get a new phone, you'll feel good about it. How long does that happiness last? Yeah, so it'll be a momentary thing. You get into a new house, fully excited. How long will it last? It'll last till the time you realize that you are about to be defaulting on the next EMI bill or something. But that's how really it lasts. Freedom is to be able to do what you want because you're not doing it for other people, right? So am I free to do what I would love to do? And when you're free to do what you love to do, the question of happiness disappears because you're doing what you love and your time's taken in what you love. And all these other things which are about getting, no one can deny you if you're good at what you love. And that's will be my correlation really to freedom and happiness. And I think freedom to do what you love and doing it ethically is happiness.
Well said. Yeah, freedom to do what you love and doing it ethically. I'm also inviting audience to start posting your questions. Some of you are. And as I am asking Chetan here, you too have an opportunity to ask him directly. Post your questions, and in case that question is intriguing enough, we'll be inviting you online to ask directly with us and interact for a while. Meanwhile, another that's there, Chetan, on, when I was listening to this session was, it's, you have stakeholders in your success and in your failures and in your relationships. And whatever you do, whether you want to be happy, you want to be successful, eventually some way impacts a lot of other relationships, other, stakeholders than just you. How is that related to happiness?
So the question is, what would make your stakeholders happy? A happy you or a struggling you?
Right.
And if they are happy because you are making money and you are not happy doing that, then that's a ridiculous relationship to be in the first place, right? If people cannot digest the fact that they love you, but they can't digest the fact that you are doing something to be a happier person, and if they have a problem with that, screw them, get out of that relationship. That's not worth it in the first place, right?
So,
A lot of people, because we are conditioned in that manner, that we brought up thinking that I will be successful when I achieve this and achieve that. Sure enough, that's what people will think of your success, not you. You will be successful when you're happy doing what you are. And no one is saying that in the game that you are playing, when you're happy about what you're doing, that you won't be successful. I think this correlation is incorrect. I feel that when you are doing something passionately, where your heart belongs, you'll be more successful than doing a day job where your heart doesn't belong. And you won't end up with all the illnesses that you will end up with if you're doing a job that produces stress.
no,
We have,
absolutely.
in our corporate environment, really, we have 30-year-olds today taking blood pressure medicines all their life. Why is that
Yeah.
happening? We have CEOs dying at the age of 44. I mean, come on, you might be the CEO of the biggest bank on earth, but if that's what the life gave you, it's very clear as to what not to do.
No, and I think what you said, and that was perhaps my purpose also when I brought this to the discussion, that people who love you and who truly are your stakeholders, they should be happy by seeing you happy, or should be happy by what you do for them or what you mean to them or what you convert for them is a bigger question that, somewhere at some point in time, we all need to at least ask ourselves, even if we can have the courage to ask them later. So with this, I'll come back with my thoughts more, but we are flooded with a lot of questions as of now. And right now, what I have on my screen is, how do you think of how do you think or approach happiness while keeping and staying true to responsibilities? And I think it's extension of what Chetan just now said, that no one is asking you to shy away from responsibilities, but are you catering to those responsibilities as baggage, a burden, a responsibility for the name of it? Or are you truly taking them as your point of concern and the point of being happiness and catering to them while doing what you want to be doing? That is what is basically the big
And really,
difference.
every living being on this planet, right, regardless of whether you are human or not, if you are born on this planet, you have an instinct of self-preservation first, right? So your responsibility to yourself, the primary responsibility is to be healthy and happy. And then comes something else. Now you can be sad and you can be dejected in your old age, you'll end up blaming the same people that you're claiming towards responsibility for. And do you really want that to happen? Do you want to be cursing them 20 years later that I couldn't do this because I had responsibilities and I couldn't do this because I had children and because my wife? You'll be cursing the same people later. And you can get out of it by doing what you love. And so what? I mean, if you're worried that because you have responsibilities, you won't be able to make money doing what you love, that's just an excuse. That's not true. People make more money when they do what they love. And that's like a proven, empirically tested fact, not by staying in a job that you hate or by having a career that you don't like. Your primary responsibility is to first be aware as to what excites you, what is your gift, what are your talents, and now go ahead and use them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, the next that I have on my screen is maybe that luxurious trip would make me happy, so I need money for that, and so I need to work hard to earn that money. Therefore, pressure to earn money, hence no happiness at the moment.
You know
So, what
what?
to do?
This mindset will make sure that you'll never have money in your life. I will tell you the mistake that our generation has ended up making. We have more rooms in our houses that we need to use, so we're paying that extra rent that we don't need to pay. You have more cars than you need to use, so you are paying extra money that you don't need to pay. You are having more gadgets than you need. You have more things than you need, and you're paying them money. So you've spent money so that you can show to people that you have all these fancy things. You'll go for a holiday, not because you want to see that luxurious destination. You're going there so that you can take a picture and post on Instagram that you went there. Now, think for a moment, if luxury is what makes you happy, then instead of going and blowing money up on a luxury thing, ask yourself this question: is that what really makes me happy? Then go start a luxury trip business or something so that you can do it every day of your life. And if you're not prepared to do it every day of your life, you are kidding me if you say that that makes you happy.
And also, to build on that, sometimes it's also a escape route. Because I am not ready to confront my realities, because I am wanting to have a break away from a particular thing. Therefore, it's kind of a web you create for yourself and create as a means of escape that, okay, I need a break, or I need to go on a vacation, or I need to shop, or I need to take a break from everything that I am doing. So just be mindful of whether it is actually coming from a place of you really wanting to do it, because then you'll be wanting to do it every day, as Chetan rightly said, that, why not create that business, or if it is coming from a place of escape. So that's
Absolutely.
also something. Yeah.
There's an interesting question, Rolly, which they're asking that how do we flip switch the mindset? How does one get over the preconditioning? I answer that in that recording that I was playing, and I'll give you a very simple answer. There are these two frameworks in life, which is one on one side is a selfish framework, and on the other side is a selfless framework. And that's all that you need to worry about in your mindset. Is your framework selfish, which means that it is dependent upon being happy when I get something? Or is your framework selfless, where I am playing the game for the love of the game and not for the trophy? And that's the switch that you really have to do before you will discover anything. And if you make that mindset shift and it becomes about giving, now your success becomes dependent on spreading that gift of giving to as many people. And giving is up to you, right? And when you give, you will get. That's the law of nature. There's nothing that can stop you from it.
So true. When did people find their purpose in life? I have not understood mine even after 50 years of life, happiness. But what is my purpose? And my counter question to you would be, I have never been able to relate with this question of purpose. And in one of the previous webinars too, we had mentioned this, that why this pursuit for a purpose? I mean, purpose of life is to live. It is as simple as that. I mean, it's as we rightly say, what is the purpose that a tree is serving? It's just being there and doing what it is there for. What is the purpose that a river is flowing? What is the purpose? Why accord that much of importance to ourselves that we need to have a purpose? Purpose is to be, to attend to pay attention to whatever is coming, and to live fully with that happiness quotient that, we are talking out there. Why have a purpose? What is so great about having any other purpose than to be able to live the life?
Correct, really. And that's another selfish frame, my purpose. Who the hell are you to have a purpose? There's 7 billion of us. No one has a purpose. Your purpose is to live happily. Right, there was some question that I'm trying to now find. I want to become a psychologist, which is a field that not a lot of people enter. I fear that I will screw it up and therefore work my blood off to attend online courses that will help me. Do you think it's okay to do so? What is it okay to do so? I'm not getting. If you want to become a psychologist and you think that that's your gift in life and it makes you happy to be a psychologist and help other people, then go ahead and screw it up. I mean, why are you so scared of screwing it up? I started doing this kind of work, speaking to people. For the first 5 years, I only screwed it up. But you don't learn unless you screw it up. And that's journey into anything in life. You couldn't even walk the first time that you started walking. You couldn't walk without falling. That's the way nature is designed. So if you screw it up, you're living life on your own terms. If you are absolutely clear that you're doing this for playing the game, for the love of the game, go ahead and do it.
And there's a interesting one here. A lot of us will identify to this. You'd said that one should always give and be selfless. It's true that giving makes you happy, but how long can you give and only give and not expect a thing in a relationship? And my dear, the moment it comes to expectations and it comes to expecting something in return of that giving, the giving doesn't remain giving at all. And the very framework of selflessness is about not me versus you, or about that separation of I from the rest of the things. It is about that wholeness. And when you are connected in that wholeness, this thing that I am giving to you and now I can expect things from you cannot come in, into the mind. The moment these thoughts are entering, that means that giving somewhere has a purpose, somewhere has an agenda, somewhere has an expectation to it. So
also,
how long has
points about relationships. The thing of this is a very simple thing about having a good, happy relationship. If people behaved in their relationships that they used to behave at the start of it, if they behave in that manner in the entire length of it, the relationship will stay fine. Right? So you need to question if that behavior has disappeared, that relationship that you have an image of is already over, by the way. Right?
Yeah,
Someone is asking. Sorry, go ahead, Rudy.
No, go on, Chetan.
Someone's asking, what do you mean by ethics? Who decide these ethics? You do. I'm no one to decide ethics for you. My definition of ethics is do what you think is right without it hurting anybody on the other side. That's my definition of ethics. So when I said freedom plus ethic, freedom to do what you want, but not at the expense of hurting other people.
Sometimes it is necessary to do what you don't love as circumstances be. So still we have to do with or without happiness. Choice, eventually, if you feel you don't have a choice and you want to go ahead and do it, of course you wouldn't be happy about it. So I think calling it necessary is a self-serving bias that we end up giving to ourselves so that we feel justified into doing it. The heart is wanting to do something else and you end up doing something else. There is a self-serving bias in the name of necessity, in the name of responsibility, in the name of the right thing to do.
To me, it's total bullshit. I don't believe for a moment it is necessary to do. It's your bias to not take a risk, to not step out of the comfort zone. Don't make it generalized. The thing about being human and having a brain is you always have a choice, right? The day you see it, there's nothing necessary about it. Yeah, you might be needing a salary to take care of your family and stuff, but you still have 12 other hours or 16 other hours in a day, don't you? There's nothing necessary like that. It's nothing written in stone. You weren't sent here on earth to suffer your life out of it. You were here because you have a choice to live it the way you want to.
And I think, it's a very important point here about choice, which Chetan and I spoke about. I think most of the time it's just about that choice. It's rarely sometimes that it is about necessarily having to do and face the reality, and that reality also you can change. It's most often than not, it's just about exercising that choice. It's just about making that choice for ourselves. Most of the time we don't want to do that. We really don't want to make a choice for ourselves. We don't know how to choose us. That's the saddest part.
Yeah. What's the key to work-life balance? That's a screwed up question. Isn't your work part of your life? Right, so I balance it. This question comes when the work is separate from life and you really don't enjoy the work. And that's the whole point of this. Make work part of your life, then 12 or 18 hours don't matter. Otherwise, even 1 hour matters. Right? There is a comment, really, and I want to comment on that. The freedom of doing what you love is possible when you're self-employed or freelancing. If you work in an organization, some predefined goal, get that out of your head. You still have a choice. I work in an organization. I have investors. I have people. I have a team. I have predefined goals and all of it. But it's a choice whether you are accepting the goals or you are defining it for them in the manner that suits you. I don't agree with this, that you can't do it in an organization. If you are so restricted, it's time to leave that organization.
Okay, there's a funny one out here. I think I'm mostly like Chetan sir, and I have become a jack of so many trades. And now I'm graduating in 2021, and where to start? I mean, I don't know why I took this question, but I'm only reminded of what Chetan shared in the webinar. I think the journey for you would be to open a chemical factory, then shut it, then have a restaurant open and shut it again, and then make a BPO. I think these are three options Chetan did in his life. You can try with three of what you want to do. I'm sure you'll be able to make any three of them successful if it is coming from the place that is a game that you want to play. So that's my word for you.
Sir, people will not, yeah, and there is a statement in that question where he's expressing that people will not take me seriously because I'm not an expert. It's not true. People will not take you seriously because you are not taking yourself seriously. I started coaching CEOs and people at the age of 23. You are 21. People didn't take me seriously till I took myself seriously. It's nothing to do with age, right? People, Sachin Tendulkar was good enough to be in the country's team at 16 years of age. Whether they took him seriously or not, when you see that he played the game well, you bloody well will take him seriously. Same for you. Start playing the game before having that doubt.
In life, there are other things like responsibility and obligation. How do you connect that happiness and freedom? And also, there are sacrifices one need to make, not just pursue one's happiness. What do you say on that? I think the same thing that Chetan was saying about that, these are coming from a place of bias. Yes, these are all our realities. This is a conditioning that we have, being brought up with. This is exactly day in and day out. We have seen people around us, and eventually we have become those people who end up doing it. But reality is that it is about that choice. About those sacrifices also, if they are coming from a place of selflessness, they will not be sacrifices. And if they are appearing as sacrifices to you, then really no point making them, because then it is coming with an agenda. Either it is your agenda to make someone feel obligated, or it is their agenda to take away something from you.
And really, I can
Otherwise, it doesn't
understand
feel
that.
like a sacrifice.
I can understand that for a little bit of period in time in life, you might have to, right? That you might be in a relationship and the other person needs your presence, or your parents might need you, or your children might need you. So make it. I mean, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, but if it's going on happening, then there's something wrong with you, not them.
Right.
Right. So
The pattern
sometime in life you
has to
have to, yeah, I had to make sacrifices to be around my father when he was ailing, but I did it out of a choice. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way forever. How you or I can handle such promoters of an enterprise who are simply lost and desperately trying to be selfish by screwing them over and telling them fuck you and walking out of their company. If you've realized it, that's all that's left to do. How do we find the work that we truly love without overthinking it, especially when things are changing quite rapidly and moving past? So don't think about it in terms of work. What is it that you love to do, right? Answer that question. What is it that excites you? What is it that puts you in the zone? What is it that you love to do? What you love to do, now think of work around it. I mean, not the other way around. How do you find the work that you love? First, what is it that you love? It's about self-awareness in a way. I mean, you got to get aware. So in my journey, it was trying so many things by default, figuring out what I did, what I love. So in your case, if maybe it's late for you to do that, but in your case, if it's late for you to do that, by virtue of thinking about it from your childhood to now, what is it that you love to do?
What if my attempt to be happy interferes in someone else's happiness and make them unhappy? Can we really be happy making others unhappy? So my take on this is, as long as you're not set to murder them, I can't get what will make them unhappy. And if you have, then they will not be there to see they are unhappy. All I'm trying to say here is, what is it that is there in your happiness that you feel will make people around you unhappy? And people around you, when I say that, I'm sure you're referring to people who matter to you. If you matter to them and if they matter to you, what is it that you will choose for yourself that you think will make them unhappy? In fact, rather to see you happy, they will be happier than you, if that's the relationship you are referring to. And if that is not the kind of relationship, why even care for it?
And I will tell you another thing, sir. I know what you are referring to. You might be living with your parents or your wife or children around you who might not be very happy for you to make a career switch or do something, right? I can understand that. But if you want to get into a mindset of being successful and mindset of doing what you love, that essentially means to do these two things. One, to be around people who are happy at you being happy, right? And Eliminate people who are unhappy about you being happy. Now, I'm not saying cut off from them because these are close relationships, but there's no need to speak to them thrice a day on the phone. You do it thrice in a week or something, but you've got to be away from people who are unhappy about you being happy. I mean, that's the starkest thing to say. If I am around, if my happiness is making someone unhappy, that's the most ridiculous thing to be around.
Absolutely.
How do you break
And
free
you know,
from?
somehow Chetan, I'm still at that question, and because, this is something which somewhere all of us again and again come back to that, how can I make the other unhappy and still feel happy about myself? Isn't it very selfish? I would only say that if you're not happy, let's say even if you do what you're saying to do and you do not choose for yourself, in turn, when you are unhappy, what is then that you are giving to them? That irritation, that state of being in and creating an unhappy relationship, what is it? You can only give what you have. If you are unhappy, then unhappiness is what you will be able to give to them. So in the larger scheme of things, it really doesn't help you, it really doesn't help them. I'm sorry, Chetan, I interrupted. Please go
Ah,
on.
that's good. How do you break away from conditioning when you are conditioned to critique yourself? Now, stop the judgment, right? You are conditioned to critique yourself. Who the hell are you to critique yourself? If you are playing, right, and if you are playing the game and you're out there, the game, by virtue of playing it with other people, will give you feedback so that you can become better at it. But what do you have to critique yourself about? So you are in this mindset where you're constantly judging yourself, and you are doing that because you're worried how you will come across to other people. Drop the fucking other people, because those other people will hold you back in chains all your life. Don't worry about how you come across. Go there, play the game, get dirty, get tired every night, have a peaceful sleep.
Do we
Do we
give
give
too
too
much
much?
importance to the to the purpose of life? Absolutely. I mean, we as human beings always love to give importance to ourselves, sometimes in the name of we being the superior species, to sometimes finding this metaphysical concept of a purpose of life or a spirituality. So certainly it is actually too much importance. That's what it is to my mind. Just be and just let others be. I think that's as much as life that you have to offer.
I was of the same mentality, which resulted in me quitting my job a year back to start my own business. But a year down the line, I feel I lost. I will tell you, sir, exactly what that happened. You started the business to make money, not to play the game. I can tell you without knowing your story. That was a business aimed at an end result, and you constantly thought about how you'll make the money. You wouldn't have quit if you left your job and started doing something that you love. That's the thing. People start businesses these days, all the young entrepreneurs. And if you're thinking of starting it too, people start businesses these days so that they can build a company which they can sell off and sit on $1 billion. That's a wrong mindset, right? Because you are doing it then for the money. And if you're doing something for the money, then that's not the way that you will persist with it. Because if you're not getting the money, you leave it. And that's exactly what happened to you.
How do you restart if till now your actions are driven by social stigma, especially when now that you have liabilities? I think then some of the beginnings come by some of the endings. The first thing would be to stop doing what you have been doing. And that's as quick a how to that we can give you here, that at least stop and put an end to those things. And one by one, you will have to take that step to dissolve them for yourself. I mean, if you have to restart, there is no
And
other way but to restart.
I have a point in that too, Rolly. You have to question, and because you've used that word, I'm taking it in a very literal sense. Why do you have liabilities? You have liabilities in terms of committed expenses towards your EMI, towards your car, towards your home loan, or whatever it is, all of which is aimed at appearing to society or looking good to somebody else. Get rid of them. They're not irreversible decisions to be without liabilities. You have those liabilities not because you love those things. You have those liabilities because you care too much about other people. You care too much about what you want to show the society, and so you lost. Every bloody person who's taken up a job, got a certain salary in, the first thing they've ended up doing is buying a home. Why? Because you want to show to people that now you live in a home that you own. And you didn't do it because you want to live in that home. You are tired and sick of paying those EMIs, but you did it so that you can show to other people that you have a house that you own. I haven't understood it. I've never taken a home loan, so I haven't understood it. A
Okay,
follow-up
how can
question
you
to
be
the
sure
psychologist.
about, yeah,
Sorry, I'll just
yeah,
take that really
it's the
quick.
same question,
It's a
yeah.
follow-up question to the psychologist one. And your response was, are you sure about loving the game? How can one be sure? If you're not sure, you don't love it, forget it. If you're not sure, you don't love it. It's as simple as that to me. Or either do it once and you'll know. But if you are not sure, that doubt comes only towards things that you don't love. No one has a doubt, for example, that do I love my child or not? It's very clear. So if you have a doubt, leave it.
I'm passionate about my work, but I feel anxious about the future in terms of work. See, a little bit of anxiety, understandable, but as long as if you're using the words like passion and loving the game, future is taken care of, because eventually you are doing something that you know you will be able to add value to, that you know you will be able to create something out of it. And therefore, as long as that anxiety is to do it, it's even a good degree of anxiety to have. But having said that, what will happen in the future comes from a place of uncertainty. If it is about your passion, don't let that uncertainty thrive on top of your mind.
How do I find motivation to wake up daily? You need to find motivation to do things that you don't enjoy doing. Otherwise, you don't need it. So find something that you enjoy and you love, and you won't need a single day of motivation in your life ever again. In business, there are objectives. It cannot be purely for a noble purpose. If one pursues business for the sake of happiness, the results might not come. It's a long question. I don't know where the question is. So one has to focus on results. If I let my salesman off the hook on the results, then there will be not results. What I think it's a mindset again. Instead of focusing on results, can you make them love whatever it is that your company is doing? And if they love what your company is doing and they're in it for that, you never have to push anyone, right? You have
And
to push
also,
them because they
yeah.
probably hate their job with you around. Turn
And
it
Chetan, I
around.
was also adding to that, that results also, they could be a happiness quotient, or they could be that game that some people want to play. As long as it is those people playing the game, the results will automatically come. They will but come. So it's also to have the right people on the bus rather than just have what you want to have on the bus. So if you have the right kind of people who share your passion, then the results are not something that you have to drive towards. They are a given outcome. So that as well.
See, I think in business, sir, because you've asked the question about business, I don't know, when people are talking about scaling up a business or being more successful and stuff, you have to realize it's a people game because it's other people who are going to do that for you. And if that's a people game, majority of your time has to go into developing a relationship with those people, not holding them accountable. It's to developing a relationship with those people so that they can like and respect and love you as a person. And if they do that, that's your job done. Unfortunately, people who are running businesses and leaders don't understand this. They look at it as a review, they look at it as pushing people, they look at it as incentive, they look at everything but developing a healthy relationship.
Do what
Is
you love is okay, but money is the issue. So don't you think at the end of the day you have to compromise? Now here's a very interesting thought comes to my mind, that we've always been taught, it's always there are no free lunches. We've always been, believing it that it's a mutual give and take. I don't know why we shy away from believing in abundance. Why is it that you cannot be happy, or you cannot have money, or you cannot have both? Why can't you be happy and still have a lot of money and still do whatever you want to do and play the game of passion that you want to play? Why that abundance? I mean, nature has been so abundant, everything around us, resources, whatever, we have been created with so much of abundance. What is it in our mindset that makes us behave like that we have to compromise and we have to negotiate one for another? Why is it that all is not possible? Why can I not operate from there?
So someone saying, I love money and it gives me happiness. So what do I do? Look, sir, money is a currency. It's not even real, right? You don't love money. You are loving things that money does for you, which would be buying things or putting out a certain personality or getting other people to look up to you. That's what you're really loving. So you are loving the end results of money. Those end results, how long does those end results keep you happy for, is my question for you. I've never seen a person who's worked for money, and I've seen plenty in my life, being happy. If this is the definition of happiness, then Warren Buffett and Bill Gates should be the happiest people on earth, and they're not. Are we
Are we
entitled to?
entitled? Sorry, go on.
As many fresh starts as we want, and in the process, how to preserve your attitude, how to not. You are entitled to anything. Why even have that question in your head? You want to start any. I mean, I've probably started and closed 10 to 12 businesses. Yeah, people will laugh at you and they will ridicule you, but that's their problem if they're uncomfortable about it. I was not uncomfortable about it. So you're entitled to as many fresh starts as you want to figure out. Your journey should be to figure out what is it that you love to do. It's not, it just shouldn't be to start because this is not giving you money and the next will be. The start should be about what is it that you love to do. And in that pursuit, you go with your gut feel and figure out if that's what your passion is, then you keep doing it.
Absolutely. And this very question, that the very beginning of this question sits with me. Are we entitled to as many fresh starts? I mean, who's entitling who there? Why is it that we have grown up like that and we always believe that we need approval, that we need someone to approve of our actions, of our decisions, and the sense of entitlement also that, who is there to approve? I mean, you are entitled to whatever you want to do with your life as long as Chetan rightly said earlier, also as long as it is not unethical and you're not harming anyone on the way. I mean, who is there that
The
who's
biggest
approval?
transition, really, from all these questions, and I want to have a couple of minutes discussion on this with you. I think the biggest transition people need to make, even from the context of these questions, is how do you move beyond other people's opinions? Because most of them are just lost in that. What will people think? People have to make sacrifice. Other people will become unhappy. Am I entitled? It's all about other people. And that's exactly the conditioning that we were questioning here. Why are you so worried about other people? As to what they will think. Other people are in the pattern of doing something that they themselves don't love, and they are dragging you into it. Why should you care about someone who's not even figured out for themselves as to whether they are doing something that they're happy about? And they want you to be dragged into a life which is completely sad and unhappy and hollow, which is their life. Why should you care about these people?
Chetan, it's just some introspection and that thought that I would want to share with you and all the audience out there. If we, for once, just think, if we were to take away from you what you do in this corporate world or by means of what career you are pursuing, it gets so difficult to describe ourselves. If we take away these people from your life, it's so difficult to describe what happiness means to you. If we take away what shopping and vacation and taking breaks is, it's so difficult to describe experiences. Where is freedom in this? And where is that abundance in this? And where is that happiness in this that, you're trying to figure out?
Yeah.
It's such a
And then, after living like this, you're obviously living with that burden, and your life becomes a story full of sacrifice that you very proudly tell your children. And they'll look at you in your eyes and say, what the hell was wrong with this man? Like, why you making a choice to sacrifice? You making a choice to care about other people. You making a choice to believe in other people's opinion. You making an active choice to work where you are, to spend your life the way you are. And if you examine that in the context of the choice, you're choosing a shit life. And be aware that yes, you are choosing it because you're not willing to step out and take a little bit of risk to get uncomfortable.
Only playing the game you love is not gonna pay bills. Currency needed, and yes, money is a lot of things. We are not saying that money is not needed. All that we are trying to say is that this very concept of what is success is a concept of conditioning. This very concept of what will make money is a concept of conditioning.
There is a binary correlation in this question. Doing what I love to do will not pay my bills. Who the fuck told you that?
Yeah. Why believe that?
Why believe that? I'm doing what I love to do, and I've never had a problem paying my bills. On the contrary, when you become successful at doing what you love, you'll have more money than you can handle, because passion pays more than routine.
Absolutely.
Difficult to find what you love. Many do not find it till the end of their life and just drift. Many love doing things for very short spans. I don't think it's difficult to find what you love. I think what the difficulty is because you are trying to define what you find by a definition of success as to what will you get doing this. How can it be difficult to find what you love? Just think of things, what gives you pleasure, what are you happy doing? And whatever it is that you might be happy reading, right? Can you read and summarize books for other people? You might be happy sketching. Can you do that? You might be happy playing a game, for example. You might be happy playing cricket, and you can no longer be a cricketer because you're old enough. But can you make it your goal in life to own an IPL team? I don't know. What's so difficult? You know what you love, right? It's a journey into self-awareness to figure out what is it that you love. And the test is this: do you do that? Would you be able to do that every single day of your life and come back excited to go to work the next morning? And that's the test. It's the day you are able to answer to anything as a yes question, you found what you love.
When it comes to parents or those you love as other people opinions, it's difficult to not care about them. Any suggestions on how to deal with it? And I think somewhere we touched upon that, but since it's come again, we'll take it up again, which is that whether parents or those you love, your family, friends, whatever it is, again, it's not about caring or not caring about your opinion and their happiness. It's caring about your opinion and your happiness as well. It's about why is it that there is a negotiation, because negotiation is when it is your image of them versus their image of you which is interacting. Where is the real relationship if the very definition of your happiness is different in their minds versus is different in your minds? And at the end of the day, it is about your happiness. Why is it that happiness, in this question also I can read, it is related to selfishness somewhere? No, it's not about being selfish. It is about finding and making that choice for yourself. And the real relationships are going to perhaps get it. And if not, then the bigger question to ask is whether it is a real relationship or it is just an image to image talking.
I'll give you a solution to this. You are talking about parents and other people's opinion, and it's difficult or unacceptable to not care with their opinions. You are a young person, I can tell from the question. You're not in my age bracket for sure, right? And when we were growing up, right, at the time that we were, let's say when me and Rolly were growing up, we didn't have an option to be dependent on our parents. So we had to go very early on in life and earn the things that we really needed to, right? Anyone who's listening in and is over the age of 40 knows what I'm talking about. There wasn't an option. Today, your generation is far more dependent on their parents to acquire things that you need to be able to show to the world that you have them. You are dependent on them. You will have to heed to their opinions. Get independent. Get independent.
I know what I love, and there are various things, but I get bored and move on to something different. Is that right? I mean, again, whose opinion is it that you are looking for? As long as it feels right to you, it is right.
You
Some
are
people
talking.
love to be anchored and are.
You are talking to people who do a different thing every week. So I think you're not getting an answer.
We don't end
So
up liking our own ideas the very next day. So, whom are you even asking this question?
if you
So,
like to do new things, you like innovation and you like ideas, make ideas your business, generate ideas for other people. If you're into marketing, that's your job. If you're into something else, if you like new things and you are able to come up with new ideas, you have a strength. Now play to that strength. Don't consider it as a weakness. I
yeah,
think
I mean, your
we like new
anchor
things.
is. Yeah,
We like
Chetan, go
new
on.
things. We like to do something, everything new, and that's our business. People call us when they're stuck and they need an answer. And I think
So
that's
that's
your.
what for you the anchor would be, to find those new things, to find those creative things. I mean, why anchor has to be doing that monotony, that routine? Every person has a different anchor. Your anchor is you get bored, fair enough, move on to a new one and co-create or
Yeah, and
create
to
something.
all the people listening in, Roli, I want to say, don't ever be ashamed of your strengths. This is a strength. And this is a classic example of someone doubting their strength because what will other people think? It's a strength. How many people do you think on earth have the ability to come up with new ideas every day? Now that's a strength. Change your perspective. I really love writing and painting, but there comes a time when indulging in those activities do not provide me happiness because you might not be getting what you want at the end of it. So I don't know. Is there a question in this? Really not. If you love writing and painting, no one can be happy 24 hours a day. I hope you realize that too, right? If I love speaking, it doesn't mean that I love speaking every time I'm speaking. So no one can be happy about it doing it every time. But yes, there needs to be a little bit of consistency. If largely doing this week on week and you are largely happy about it, that's okay. You can't be happy every time you make a painting because sadness also is a part of life.
And yeah, sadness is a part of life, and there is nothing wrong in being sad.
Yeah.
We always want to run away. And since we are talking about sadness and this came up, we want to run away from sadness. The moment we see someone crying, we end up telling that don't do that. Sadness is as much ours as much as that pursuit to happiness is. It's good to stay with that sadness as well. It's good to grieve as well. It's okay to be sad.
There's another question, a comment actually, which I want to elaborate. What if I love to do multiple things? I'm passionate about singing, dancing, public speaking, but don't have the bandwidth to focus in all those areas. So don't let anyone tell you that you need to be very focused in life to be successful, because it's their opinion. If you like doing multiple things, do multiple things. Right? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about what other people tell you. You like dancing, go learn it. You like singing, go learn it. You like public speaking, go learn it. By virtue of doing it, you will know what you want to do every single day. And if it's 10 things every single day, so be it. Not able to focus there on account of responsibilities. Yes, I understand that there might be people dependent on you, but still do them. Right? Fulfill your responsibilities. Take care of them by whatever day job that you're doing, but don't sacrifice the things that make you happy.
Great. I think this is it for today. As far as questions are there, we'll be kind of there for you to reach out on email. And till then, just mull over it. Our closing words to you would be to follow your passion and play the game. Stay happy, stay blessed. Chetan, over to you for the final words.
Yeah, I would say my takeaway for all these people is to get rid of the self-doubt that you've built in yourself. Realize that you have a choice for everything, and don't care about other people's opinion. It's not uncommon sense. It's common sense. Care about it after you've discovered what you love. To get them into believing in you is far easier when they see you happy than when they think that you are saying that you will be happy doing it. Right? So make the transition. You're always in choice. See you again sometime with another topic. Thank you.
Thank you. See you.